What's up, people? Welcome to this episode of the Buy the Hood podcast / webcast because I don't know how you're consuming this content. I'm your host as always. My name is Jimmy. And again, special thanks to everybody who supports everything we do. I always start the show off by saying thanks because everything is growing. The Instagram page is growing. The YouTube following, everything is growing. So we just want to say thank you. Always start off with a thank you. But as always, I got my co-host with me. I got my partner, Core. Core, what's going on?
What's going on, Jim? How's everything moving, man?
Oh man, I can't complain, man. We back into the community next week, so I'm looking forward to that, so we can touch more people and spread this positive message and teach brothers and sisters more about ownership, man. So I'm looking forward to that. But other than that, man, the grind continues, man. We want to continue to bring people forth that look just like you and us that are doing amazing things. So if you follow this podcast, we've had on a lot of people in the real estate industry, whether they be wholesalers, whether they be buy and hold investors, developers, and that continues. And also this brother right here, met him a couple years ago, which is interesting because he's still a young brother, which means that he was already on his path like 3 years ago, already trying to get to $1, which is crazy. Before we got on, Corey was telling him how at his age, Corey was blowing money and blowing an inheritance. So it's interesting to hear how he already had it figured out in his head what he wanted to do at a young age. And we know that he's going to, go forward and do amazing things. So we wanted to get him on before he blew up and wouldn't come on with us. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, I want to bring the brother AJ or AJ Perez. AJ, how are you, sir?
Thank you, man. I'm doing well. I can't complain, man. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, man. Listen, we told you before, you're very impressive to us because you're a younger brother. But you seem to already have it figured out. Like, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where exactly are you from? What school did you go to? And, a little bit about your background.
Yeah, man, of course. So I'm from small town Darby, right outside of Southwest Philly.
Mm-hmm.
So grew up in the county, as they say. Went to the elementary school in Darby. Of course, middle school stayed in the school district, and graduated from Penwell High School. So that's a little bit about myself. After high school, really didn't know what I wanted to do. Knew I needed to do something. And I actually went to trade school for IT. A lot of people don't know this because I don't really post it. I did the whole trade school thing, did it for about like 9 months, got my certificate. And about a week before I graduated, actually landed my first corporate IT job at 18. So kind of had to, at a young age, learn how to maneuver between the different crowds. So, I'm coming home in Darby where people are hanging out in the corner and people are hanging out at the Chinese store. And I'm leaving out, got my own company car, going to corporate meetings. So it's just crazy. So at a young age, I kind of had to adapt with different crowds.
Let me ask you a question though, because we're from Philadelphia and we've all of us have been in Darby, so we know how tough it can be out there. Even in the county, it gets rough. Mm-hmm. What kind of kept you away from that crowd and kept you on a straight and narrow?
Growing up, I had big dreams. You know what I mean? Like I always knew there was more than, the hood. I always knew this was a kind of a crab in a barrel type of environment. So, growing up, I hung out with different crowds. I hung out with some people that were doing the wrong things. I hung out with some people that were doing excellent things. So as I started to get older, I started to shift away from those people doing the negative things, whether it was illegal things, whether it was just, sitting around hanging out. So I was 18 at my corporate job. People that I graduated with were just hanging out, smoking, partying,
So when you had your corporate job at 18, were there like any like old heads at the job that kind of tried to school you and give you game about what to do, what not to do?
It was a mixed basket, right? Like I worked with old white guys, you know what I mean? Like I think everybody was over like the age of 38, except for like 2 people. When I got hired, I think I was one of 3 minorities.
Okay.
Like 40 guys. So yeah,
okay.
So there was a couple people tried to school me. It was a little bit of hate, being 18, coming in, this black kid coming, out of, quote unquote, the hood in a corporate environment. So.
All right. So when we met you, it was like a couple of years. How old are you now?
23.
All right. So I want everybody to pay attention to that because you're 23 and you're already making power moves. We first met you were like 20 years old, which is, I mean, it's impressive at 23, but even at 20, you kind of like were already, as a matter of fact, you had an event, you and a couple other young brothers from the city, and that was powerful to me to see all y'all stand together for one. And then for two, y'all talking about real estate and finance. how did you make that shift from, being in corporate America? Like, did you ever see yourself staying there? And if so, how did you make that shift?
So from about 2 months on the job, I said, this isn't for me. This ain't for me.
What was it that made you say that?
The stress, that I went through, waking up, they telling me to be at this store at 6:30 in the morning, being at this store at 4:30 in the morning, right? I worked for Rite Aid, so I had about 20 to 30 stores between Southwest and West Philly. So as an 18-year-old kid, I was kind of like a district manager, right? Like I had my own district. So you're talking about this 18-year-old kid that still lives with his mom. And of course, I have my own bills and so forth and so on. But this 18-year-old kid, right, being a district manager, controlling everything from the cash registers to the voice over IP systems, right? So, like I said, I grew up pretty fast. It was a lot of stress. I didn't like waking up early. I didn't like people telling me when to go on vacation. So I kind of knew, after about 2 months of just completely being overwhelmed, I knew I wouldn't be able to stay.
Okay, so what made you make that shift to real estate? Why real estate? What was it about real estate, or who brought it to your attention, or did you read something, meet somebody?
It's funny. So I was thinking of, okay, how can I make money outside of work? Just searching on YouTube, online, came up to actually Jay Morrison's video, right? So this was when I guess Jay Morrison was starting to become popular. He had his YouTube videos. I think it was a video of him showing a representation of him. I think he was doing like a FHA program, right? Showing you how you can one unit and then rent the other out and live for free. So at that, I'm like, live for free? What's we got to talk about? So I started looking more and more into it. I went to a guy named, he's still a realtor in Philadelphia, Adam Sanders. He actually helped me a lot when I first started. I was this 19-year-old kid. I still remember it was July 2016. And I went to his real estate course. It was like a home buying course.
Okay.
And I said it, and I was looking around, and everybody was like, 30, 35. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this now. I'm going to do this at 18, 17. So after that, I think I started stacking my money because, I was making $20+ at 18, right? It's not a lot of 18-year-olds. A lot of 18-year-olds are struggling in trade school, struggling in college. So I had all this extra cash, right? So, I was blowing it, buying designer, going out, doing
sound like Corey.
Yeah. I was blowing it, right? And then, after that real estate meeting, after, running into Jay Morrison on YouTube, I kind of just had a mindset shift, right? And I always think about this. My older brother, Travis Wolf, he told me to read Rich Dad Poor Dad at 15. I didn't read it until about 18, and it changed my whole mindset. So that's kind of how I got introduced to real estate.
So Rich Dad Poor, a combination of Rich Dad Poor Dad and YouTube University, as we call it. And that's crazy because there's so much information now, right? As someone who's old and washed like myself, I remember like I got into real estate, honestly, the same age you did. I started at 18, but I didn't have like, YouTube and all that. So I'm kind of jealous of you guys that have all this information. So you can just like literally go on YouTube and learn anything these days. I feel like you could probably learn open heart surgery if you took your time and somebody looked it up on YouTube. But but the fact is though, even though you had that information, you still did what most people don't do. So there are people I know that read Rich Dad Poor Dad, that go watch the YouTube videos, but they don't take any action. So what you did was you started stacking and you started to make the move. So you got to be commended for that, because it's not just getting the information, but taking action. So salute to you for that. So what was the first step you did after you started stacking your money?
The first step, while I was stacking my money, I was actually I was still working a job, right? I was coming home every day. I still have a Facebook post from 2016. I think it was in it might have been October, November of 2016, right? I was coming home, reading books. I was going to every networking event I can go to. I was finding networking events. I was following new people on social media. So I was just kind of like surrounding myself with individuals that motivated me, and kind of like embedding those things into my head, and just, coming home and learning every day.
Yeah, that's a gem right there. Because you changed everything, right? So we're all online. But once you start reading the books, going to networking events, you even started to follow new people online.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go to IG, you know what I'm saying, instead of just seeing, whatever you were looking at before, now you're seeing people that are doing real estate.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So that's an actual gem right there. If you want to be in the stock market, follow people that are doing that. You know what I mean? If you want to be wholesale, and there's a bunch of people doing that on IG. Whatever it is you want to do, there's people doing it. You know what I mean? So
right. So they were saying, so I always thought about this. I forget who said it first. Everybody says it now, but you're the average of the 5 people you hang around. So,
yeah.
like I said, I started to change my crowd. I started to meet new people at these networking events. I started to meet young people, old people, people that didn't look like me, people that looked like me. And I would take people out to lunch. I think I met Aisha that year, early 2017. I met Tariq, Rika State that year.
Mm-hmm.
I think I met Tom that year, Boone that year. So like everybody in Philly that I seen, I was in their DMs hitting them up. So
Another gem. You dropping gems. I don't even think you realize it. You invested by taking someone to lunch just so you can, like, first of all, make yourself known, but also pick their brain, right? That's fire, right? You know what I mean,
what's
Core?
funny? Because I was picking people brain back in 2017, but everybody that I met in that year has elevated to another level, right? So Reek was buying one property at a time. I think Aisha was still buying single families. I think she's more so, buying multifamilies now. I think Tom, he didn't even have a deal at that point. Boone wasn't a realtor. He didn't own event spaces. You know what I mean? So as the years went on, we all elevated and got to those new heights. So it's pretty cool seeing
And yeah, so now you get to see that, right? But again, that's all about putting yourself in that space, though.
Mm-hmm.
You took action by putting yourself in the space of people who are actually out there trying to make something happen. So that's dope. So what did your first deal look like?
First deal. So funny you asked. My first deal I actually bought. It was a property, a duplex out in Delaware County, right? Because I was familiar with Delaware County. Bought it for about 100 grand. I believe it was a FHA, right? So I think I had to bring. They wanted to see about 6,000 in my account.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see your reserves, of course. I think they asked for about. If you're buying a multifamily, I'm pretty sure they asked for the mortgage payment. You have to have the mortgage payment of the top unit and the bottom unit. So if the mortgage is $1,000, they want to see $2,000 extra on top of your closing costs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just researching all of that. I actually remember the date. It was February 23rd, 2017. That was my first property. 20-year-old kid, and it's funny because I walked in and my tenant was a Army veteran.
Okay.
Right? So I'm this 20-year-old kid and I'm coming in and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got to sign a lease now. So I'm knocking on this guy's door and we're talking and he's looking at me like, how old are you? And I tell him his age. And he's just like, as shocked that his landlord is now, this 20-year-old kid, but that just bought his first property. So
the tenant was already in the building when you bought it?
Yeah, he was already in a property.
Okay.
Yeah, he was already in property. So I met him actually during the showing. So I kind of knew his personality.
Mm-hmm.
But so we were knocking on his door, and he wasn't answering. I guess he was asleep or whatever the case may be. So the realtor then unlocked his door, and he was waiting upstairs with a shotgun in the hallway because he didn't know who we were.
Was in his crib.
It was a crazy. He had a crazy personality, but he was definitely a good first tenant for me.
All right, that's dope. So so now you have multiple units at this point, right? And you're starting to build your portfolio. So is your current strategy, is it like a buy and hold? Is that what you're looking to do, or do you do a little bit of everything, or what's your strategy, your current strategy in terms of real estate?
I do a little bit of everything. So shortly after that, that was in February. I remember the exact date, February 23rd, 2017. And I had somebody kept reaching out to me like, yo, you gotta try this wholesaling thing. Yo, you gotta wholesale, like, I'm making money. And I'm thinking, nah, you can't make money without, putting any money out, you know what I mean? So I finally did my proper research. I met up with the guy, his name was Marvin, right? I met up with him. We talked a little bit. And then after that, that's when I met Tom, right? Tom that you had on the real estate, that you had on your podcast. Shortly after that, I want to say it might have been April. Tom was living in DC, right? So we didn't even meet each other in person.
Okay.
Right? DM me, but we trusted each other. We were young, you know, we looked alike. We were from the same type of area. So it was like, okay, well, go meet this property owner because I'm in DC, right? And I can't make it to the property. Met the property owner, did some negotiating, got it in a good price. Me and Tom, it's funny because me and Tom were so inexperienced, we couldn't even find a buyer, right? So I still remember this purchase price. We got it under contract for about $60,000. And I think we sold it for around, it was a price where 3 people made $6,600. So it was around like 77, 78,000 or something like that. We couldn't even find a buyer. So we had to actually share. We lost out on the extra $3,000 each because we had to, of course, somebody else found us a buyer, but that was in April of 2017. After that, me and Tom been close ever since. And of course, you see he's doing his thing in wholesaling right now.
Yeah.
Doing my thing in wholesaling as well as, you know, buying holds. So
Okay.
that was the first wholesale deal.
Okay, cool. So, all right. So now you got a little bit of experience. You're 23 now. When you already, you know, you got several years in the game at 23, which is crazy. Which is crazy just to say.
Yeah.
So, what's the future hold for you at this point? You, like I said, it's very impressive. While I keep hammering that because Corey and I do a lot of work in the community, and I think this episode is going to be very important because we have brothers out there who really don't, you know, have any idea of what they want to do with themselves, and to see someone your age that can have a huge impact on them. What do you want to do in the future?
In the future, I'm looking forward to, of course, educating our people, right? Like, just like you said, a lot of people don't have any idea that real estate, they know that real estate exists, right? They know that that they pay their landlord rent, and that's all. They don't think about the numbers, the profit. They don't think about the ownerships, the tax benefits. They don't know anything about opportunity zones, right? Or credit, right? So it's funny because when I was 16, Capital One gave me a credit card for $300, and I'm like, I'm gonna spend $350. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know nothing, right? So number one, in the future, I see myself having somewhat of a community center, bringing different professionals in, whether they're realtors, investors, just everybody, credit repair people, everybody, and having, you know, some type of courses that way, just so I can give back to the community and start opening some eyes. And I also see myself owning like apartment complexes.
Okay.
That's what I see myself doing long term, and, you know, just starting that clock to generational wealth. So
Nice. So you're already thinking about generational wealth at the age of 23. That's dope. All right, let me ask you a question. Along this journey, right? So you're still young, but I'm pretty sure along this journey, what has been the biggest hurdle for you, or something that you had to get over that, you know, however you did it, but it was a hurdle for you to get to where you are today?
a hurdle. I think after having early success, and I never really told anybody this, but having early success at 20 years old, you got to think everybody was out partying, you know, worried about the girls, right? And I had this early success where I was making 5,000 here, 5,000 there, 10,000 here. And I had 2 houses at the time going into 2018, right? With all this money. I stopped doing what I did to get me there, right?
Okay.
And I fell into kind of like a slump, right? So I had to get myself back. It took me like a year and a half to get out of that slump, right? You're talking about something similar to somebody having a number 1 hit and then falling off.
Okay,
Right?
good analogy.
So I had like this slump where I had 4 wholesale deals fall apart. You know, I had this deal come back deed fraud, and this deal come back deed fraud, and this seller run away. So I had a bunch of deals go left, right? I kind of lost that. I kind of lost a step, right? That gear that I was already in. So I would say that would probably be my.
How'd you get yourself out of that?
So a couple things. Got myself out of it by you know, researching and I guess kind of like reading self-help books, listening to motivational things. I read Think and Grow Rich at the time. My brother, you know, Travis, he's like a motivational speaker, so he's always in my ear just telling me about the ups and downs of life. You just gotta think about it. That was my first time, you know, facing any hardships in life, right? I had my son, you know, shortly after that, right? So it was a bunch of things going on in that time. And a book that really helped me out of it was called The Slight Edge. I can't remember who wrote it. It's The Slight Edge. And basically what the Slight Edge talks about is the daily disciplines, right, that keep us at the level that we're at, right? Because somebody become famous and then they're waking up at 10 o'clock now, right?
Got you.
Or it talks about basically.
I gotta look that up. You're the first person to like bring that book up on the pod, and I gotta look that up. I never read that before, but it sounds interesting. You called it The Slight Edge?
The Slight Edge. It talks
Okay, I gotta write that down.
Absolutely. It talks about the pretty much the compound effect of you doing daily disciplines, right? It talks about, you don't become unhealthy by eating that one cheeseburger. You become healthy by eating that one cheeseburger every week over and over again, right? You don't become successful by, educating yourself at night 1 day a week. It's the everyday grind that gets you there, right? So that was one of the books that really helped me. And honestly, just, self-help books, it was difficult, but
But you got yourself out of it. That's dope. And by the way, I just looked it up. The Slight Edge is by a guy named Jeff Olson.
Yep.
So I'm gonna add that to my reading list as well.
That's one of my top. I recommend that to everybody, man.
No, that's a good recommendation for the simple fact that no one's ever recommended it. I haven't even heard of that. And we will put a link to that in the bio under recommended books. We keep a long list of books that we recommend people, and the people that come on the podcast bring up a lot of different books. So the Slight Edge, we will be adding that to the recommended books. Man, so that's interesting. The one thing I see that's about you that's impressive to me is you changed your circle, but you also changed the kind of information that you're digesting. So that can change your life. It's sort of like you're putting positive energy or energy about the things that you want to do. So, if you're a basketball player, you start digesting a lot of information about great basketball players, right? So you started to follow certain investors, take investors out to lunch. You started reading different books, getting different information, and it kind of like changed your life. So that's kind of dope. That's dope. Hey, Core, you had anything?
Yeah, I want to know which investor or investors influenced you the most on your journey.
Investors or Warren Buffett is definitely one.
Okay.
I haven't gotten to stocks yet, but just his discipline and his patience, to actually look at companies and look at the charts and look at their tendencies and, just everything, the whole process of going into it.
That's the part of discipline most people don't talk about, patience. Because most people talk about the daily grind, but the patience to do the things over and over again and not knowing the result, you just know that you did the work. That's the thing, about discipline that most people don't talk about.
Absolutely. I like a lot of the things that Jay-Z has done. Of course, everybody loves Jay-Z, LeBron. Some of his investments, him investing in his pizza company. I think I read somewhere where he bought it.
Blaze.
Yeah, Blaze, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the exact price. He bought it at, but I think it's worth upwards of about $100 million now.
Yeah.
He might have got it a couple million or under $1 million. Actually, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I love the moves he makes. Nipsey was a great motivation to me. R.I.P. to Nip. He was a great motivation to me. Not only his music, but just the way he moved and the disciplines and the respect that he required you to give him. So
that's what's up. The other question I have is for our young, for people that's your age or a little older, a little bit younger. What would you recommend that they do daily, since you got a routine, some discipline? What would you recommend for them to do to be able to make it into where you're at or higher levels?
So, number one, everybody has a phone, right? So you may not be able to leave your environment. You may live in a certain part of Philly or, the hood, whatever hood you're in America, right? The cards may be dealt against you, but everybody has a phone. I would challenge everybody to try to leave their environment by just listening to different things, right? Turn the rap off, turn the TV off, and just turn on some podcasts. Just research some things on YouTube and then start to go to these events, because a lot of these events are free. All right. A lot of these events are free. Start DMing people in whatever career field you're interested in and just, say, hey, how can I help you in your business? Right. Not, how can I pick your brain, but can we sit down? How can I help you? I want to be an assistance of you.
Great gem right there. Provide value to them. So provide value to them.
You have to add value. That's how I got in touch with a lot of people that I'm in touch with now in my network. Is I added value. I didn't just want to sit down, with somebody. Like, I met Aisha. Aisha's a multi-millionaire, owns, over 40 properties throughout Philly, right? And I bought a deal to her. We didn't just meet up for no reason. Me and Reek, I remember we met up in Applebee's and we talked for 2 hours. I bought a deal. I sold a couple properties to Reek, you know what I mean?
Got you.
Me and Tom, we added value to each other. He was in DC, I was in Philly. I went to go look at the property and we both came in the middle and made that profit, made something happen. So you gotta add value to people. Right? That's the key.
Man, that's love.
That's a dope, great information, man. So listen, man, before we get you out of here, I just want to tell you, man, look, I'm very proud of you. I love what you're doing out there. We're going to continue to follow your story. We're going to share it as you climb the ladder of success. We want to make sure we share what you're doing, because what you're doing is motivational to a lot of people, man. And make sure you continue to share your story, because you can help a lot of young brothers, specifically in our area, who have no clue what's going on, kind of like, figure it out. Everybody doesn't have to do what you do. Everybody doesn't have to do real estate. But a lot of the knowledge that you've given us in this episode, you can apply it to anything, right? Doesn't matter what you're doing. If you want to be a doctor, if you want to, go be an accountant, whatever it is, you can add value to someone who's already doing what you want to do, and, pick their brain. The same thing about digesting information in whatever field it is that you want to actually move into. So a lot of those things are applicable, not just to real estate, but any business or any profession. So in a short period of time, because it's very impressive.
Continue to do that, man. That's something that I, strive to and want to do. Want to give back, share information.
Listen, man, we in the streets, man. Come holler at us, man, and share the information. We in the streets.
Yeah, we invite you out. Because like I said, we go to sometimes places people won't go, but the thing is, we always share the information with the people, man. So we'll definitely be in touch, and have you come out there. Like, a lot of times we talk to young people around your age, sometimes behind the wall, sometimes in the street. But the thing is to try to help them figure things out. So this is why I think this episode is very important, and why I'm glad you gave us your time to come on. So I want to say thank you as well.
No, thank you guys for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, Core, before we got in here, you got any more questions you want to ask the brother?
No, man. Like you said, man. Super proud, young boy out here getting it.
The right way.
Yeah, the right way. He's doing it big, and I'm super. Like I said, I'm super proud because I know how I was at his age, and I was trash.
But also, man, I also want to tell y'all to stick together, man, because I see how y'all roll. Like, you, Tom, Boone, all you guys, man. Continue to keep that same energy, man, as you guys grow. Because, like you said, everybody's elevating, right? So make sure you guys, continue to build together, man. And for the people out there listening, make sure that you share this content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure you share the podcast with someone else, have them listen to it, because all we're going to do is highlight brothers and sisters who are doing amazing work out there, from all walks of life. Also, you can get the Buy the Hood merch. You can find that in the description box on YouTube or in the show notes if you're listening to the audio. And also, we just did a deal with the Discover Your Options, which is an options boot camp, which teaches people with no knowledge how to make money, just literally make money out of thin air in the options market. It's an educational platform, so we partnered with them. So check the link in the description as well as the show notes if you're looking to learn about the options game. AJ, man, like we said, continued success, man. We're going to share your journey as you post. I know you have a new vlog you're dropping as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about that. What's your vlog about?
Just about the journey, man. Like you said, man, just creating content and showing people that, it can be done. Like I said, I've been investing in real estate since 20. Nobody in my family invested in real estate. I didn't really know anybody that owned anything, so yes, you can start today. You can start to pick up that book. You can start to research, network. You sitting at home, listening to the podcast, you can change your situation. You have control of it, man. So, dream big and apply everything you learn.
Yeah. So I'll make sure that, we share that to our story, so people could take a look at the vlog you got dropping, because people could watch your journey, man. So anyway, man, listen, follow AJ. We're going to put the link to his IG in the description box as well, so you can follow everything he's got going on. You can check out his vlogs and watch his he's going to document how he's getting these, how he's getting his properties and doing what he does, which is very important as well. Now you're showing it. So, again, continued success to everybody out there. Listen, as we always say, it's not about how much money you make. It's about how much you keep. Game elevates, and we'll check you in the next episode. Peace.